Right, so I'm going to try this whole Cliffs of Dover thing again. And this time we're going to try the 109 to start with. I think this is the E3. Looks like an E3 cockpit. So this mission is an offensive fighter sweep over southern England. We're pretty much over the coast. I think we're actually basically over Folkestone and Dover at the moment. There's a bunch of British aircraft hanging around, some Wellingtons on I guess a transfer flight or a training flight or something. There's a couple of Bolt and Paul Defiants around, the poor things, and some Spitfires. And we got a bunch of 109s with us, 8 of them, which I think is 2 Staffeln. Pretty sure 2, because it's a pair of units of 4. All right. So, as you might imagine, especially from seeing me attempt to fly it yesterday, I'm not real great with the 109. I don't fly it a whole lot, especially these early versions. It handles quite differently than the Spitfire. It can turn pretty well. The 109E can turn with a Spitfire in the right circumstances, with the right handling, with use of flaps, and with the Spitfire pilot being sufficiently unaware of how to handle his aircraft. It's kind of 6 to 1 1/2 dozen to the other. The early Spitfires and the early 109s are so closely matched in performance that it is 100% pilot skill that matters. So we are going to try and take this down. Probably the closest target, and the one my wingmen usually seem to go for, is the Defiance. So we might go and jump them, and then we'll see if we can find something else. Fingers crossed that OBS has hooked the correct window. I was going to start streaming about half an hour ago, but I was having a lot of trouble getting OBS to behave. So hopefully this time it's working. I'm going to go ahead and unpause, get my gun sight turned on, which is a big pain, so I've got to spam click that rear stat instead of a simple switch like in the Spitfire. Now those Defiants are somewhere under my right wing. And it has just occurred to me, the Germans did not put a vertical speed indicator in this plane. What the fuck were they thinking? So it also lacks an artificial horizon, so it's totally incapable of flying in bad weather. But there's no VSI. German engineering for you. I'll watch my speed, I don't want to get too fast here. There's the Defiance, which were a real weird duck of a plane, and they were withdrawn from frontline service very quickly because the entire concept behind the aircraft was flawed, really. It wasn't a bad idea, it was just not suited to the environment that it found itself in. Not sure where my wingmen have gone. I think these are the Defiants, they should be. Yeah, they are. There are some Spitfires hanging around too, so we got to be careful. We've got to stay below these guys. So the weird thing about the Defiant is that it was designed with a rear-facing turret that could swivel through about, I think it's about 180 degrees, or a bit more maybe, with 4 303 machine guns in it. The idea being that it would get under and in front of enemy bombers or fighters and shoot them down with a turret. Now, in theory, this is pretty clever, but in practice it was a horrible idea. The aircraft had no way of protecting itself from head-on attacks or from attacks from beneath. It was relatively slow compared to things like 109s. You can see the smoke coming out of that turret. He's firing at me, or at someone. The Defiant did linger on in the night fighter role, as it was useful for shooting down bombers, but against 109s it just got absolutely shredded. This thing is a real handful compared to the Spitfire. The engine management is also completely different. I much prefer the way things are done in the Spit. Shit. That was his gunner. I just got careless, and that's what happens. So I now have no gun sight. I do have a little backup sight, but it's going to be very hard to align with how sensitive the head tracking is in this game. Are you very angry though? Apparently he is. Do have a friendly covering my tail there at least. That looks like it might be a Defiant. They're quite a large aircraft. At least for a single engine type. It's hard to tell who's who from here. We've got one that's in the middle of a turn. We might go for him. He's probably the easier target. He's turning in towards me. It's so hard to line this little backup side up while I'm maneuvering. Everyone's talking over each other on the radio. nose gun, the 20mm cannon on this, has a really violent recoil impulse, which makes it very hard to shoot at the best of times, but without my reflector sight, it's so difficult to hit anything. Even if I line up, as soon as I fire, I'm pushed off target. How much fuel have I got? Enough. Now the Defiant doesn't have any actual forwards-facing guns. Oh, Jesus! Crazy wingman. So as long as I'm in front of it, I'm actually safe. These are all friendlies behind me. Their standard tactic when jumped, or when bounced, was to enter a defensive circle so that each aircraft's gunner would cover the aircraft behind it, which is the same thing that the German Messerschmitt Bf-110s would do when attacked. It was a relatively decent mutual support tactic, but it still wasn't enough to account for the weaknesses of the aircraft. It was a purely defensive move, and once they were committed to it, there was nothing they could really do except hope that it actually worked. I think I'm going to have to just return to France and set down somewhere, because I am not combat effective like this. .109 is definitely harder to fly than the Spitfire. Absolutely harder to fly. It feels much more squirrely on the controls. It has some of the same, I guess, properties as the Spit. Oh, the whole sight's been knocked off its base. No wonder I couldn't hit anything. It's bent. Yeah, it's very sensitive in pitch, like the Spitfire. Maybe not quite so much. And it doesn't roll well at speed. But it's very twitchy. It's not very directionally stable. Actually, oh, you know what? I think the, yeah, this is an E3, so the 20mm cannons are in the wings, and I suspect because I was being pushed off to one side, maybe one of the guns has been knocked out. I've got bullet hits right next to both of them, so one might be jammed. Let's test. Oh, well, I'm out of cannon ammo anyway, apparently. So, let's talk about why I don't like the 109's cockpit. Some of the later 109s improved this, but they were never really as good as any of the British cockpits. It's cramped. Really cramped. Like, compare this to the Spitfire's pit. You've got stuff hanging off in the leg wells. The instrument panel is cluttered. Yeah, Max, we've used it before. In one of the Afghan missions, when Grim ran off with the Logi truck and almost got flattened by it. I can't remember which one it was. It was, I think, fairly late in the campaign. But yeah, so all your engine instruments are at least grouped together somewhat, but you've got no artificial horizon, so you can't fly in IFR at all. You've got no vertical speed indicator, so your blind flying instruments amount to airspeed indicator, altimeter, and a turn and bank indicator, and that's about it, and a compass. The Germans would eventually introduce a attitude indicator. It took me a while to think of the words there. In the 109F, the Friedrich, but the early emails did not have one, for reasons that I do not know. I would have thought the Germans had the technology. I guess they just decided they didn't need to put one in there, which was stupid, frankly. Now, once again, my wingmen are probably going to kill themselves as I try and land here. It is what it is. Okay, we've got a choice of airfields here, if I can speak properly. There's one behind us and one off the nose. I might go for this one. Now, I don't think I've landed a 109 in this before, so bear with me. This is probably going to be really messy. Flaps are down. Have our wheels come down yet? I don't think they have. May have taken a hit to the hydraulic system. Yeah, you do see red, CJ. I got shot several times. I'm reasonably sure our undercarriage is stuck, which is going to complicate this somewhat. Yeah, no wheels. Didn't go so well for us. And a 360 show up. Yeah, that was not an intentional 360, believe me. Alright. Let's refly that since it didn't go so well. Let me know if it doesn't hook properly, because it might not. Right, I'm going to hit fly now. Do you guys see the cockpit? Excellent. So I may have a shameful admission. The thing that fucked me up there was a bolt and pull Defiant. Of all the things to get sent home by with holes in me, it was a Defiant. Now, let's see if we can find that formation. It's somewhere down there. There they are. See the very poor roll response because I'm moving quite quickly here. Got a hit there. He's missing some pieces. And he's shooting at me, cheeky bastard. Ow! Come on. And this is why I don't like flying the 109. Just about went into a spin there. Generally, when attacking Defiance, 109 pilots preferred to come in head-on. You can see why. I'm just not very good at head-on attacks, so I'm risking getting shot here, and it's not really paying off. Why am I so slow? Speed's really bleeding off. Let's see. This might be what I need here. I'm trying to figure out how the prop pitch on this works, but I'm not sure. Game froze. Oh, there we go. That was interesting. I think I may have oversped the engine. Yeah, I did. Hit that guy, I think. Come here. Yep, there's oil all over the windscreen. We've killed the engine. Another freeze. Hit the water a bit hard. So yeah, I'm not real friends with the 109, to be honest. Oh, what did I just get tabbed out by? Hopefully that doesn't break the OBS hook. Let's go back to the menu. Exit. I'll do some Spitfire flying, at least I know I can fly that. Do this one again, this is pretty fun. So, we'll go Spitfire 1A, 100 octane, and that will be our flight. That all looks good. Everything else should already be set up. Alright, can you guys see the cockpit? Are we all good? There's the 109s. There's the bombers underneath. I might get some freezes now and then because I've got IL-2 Battle of Stalingrad installing in the background, well, updating. So, it may cause slowdowns now and then. That's my tail, looks okay for now. It's the Hurricanes in front of us. We'll go with this guy right off the nose. I think that might be a 109 behind me, but I'm not sure. Yep, that's a 109. Fuck. He's real close. What is my wingman doing? He was supposed to protect me. Come here, you shit. I'll have you. You only see a map. Oh, God damn it, it lost the hook. Okay. This is the problem I have with this damn game. And I can't fix it without restarting OBS. So I guess we're going to call it for Cliffs of Dover for now, unfortunately. This is the problem I have. Yeah, like, I'd have to restart the stream to fix it, and I just cannot be bothered right now to do that. So instead, let's see. I'll just jump on DCS, I guess, and see if anyone's on Just Dogfight, maybe. Still going to be a long time before IL2 is done installing. It's like 13 gigabytes to go, and it's downloading so slowly. So we'll just hop on DCS, I guess, and hope for the best performance-wise. The reason that happened is because I got tabbed out of the game by something opening. I actually think it was... I think it might have been the updater for Battle of Stalingrad. It seized focus off the game, and as soon as that happens, OBS loses the hook. Like that whole stream I did yesterday in Cliffs of Dover, I did not tab out once. I did not dare tab out of the game, because if I did, I would have had the same problem. It's a real nightmare, and that's why, like I said yesterday, I don't stream it often at all, because it's just so difficult to set up. Yeah, even trying to get around it with a desktop capture, which I don't like using anyway, but even with that, it doesn't always get the right thing. Like, that was one of the ways I tried to stream it originally, and it just still didn't hook the right window. It's really, really annoying. Apparently, IL2 Battle of Stalingrad has similar issues, but I don't know if they're quite as bad. I'm hoping they're not, because I'd like to stream that once I get into it. But at least with DCS, I know I can tab out without causing issues. So we'll see if anyone's in Just Dogfight. If they're not, then I'm not entirely sure what I'll do, to be honest. I can't play on any of the more populated servers due to the performance issues I've been bitching about non-stop on every stream for the past month. Even just playing on Just Dogfight is kind of ropey at times. I do want to do some flying, but until either ED revert the changes they made or I get an SSD, DCS is kind of semi-off limits. Which really sucks, because I really enjoy playing this. Let's see if any servers come up at all. There we go, Just Dogfight. Looks like the central US server's not up at the moment, which is the one with the warbirds on it. Oh, no, there we go. I tell a lie. There it is. Wonder if Jeff's on. Doesn't look like it. Well, we'll see what else there is for servers, I guess. Cold War is usually not too bad for performance, but it's empty, as usual. Burning Skies is on Normandy. Oh, sorry, no, it's Caucasus. There we go. Oh, I can jump on that. And Schneider is playing on there, so I can fly against him. Ever since the big patch, DCS crashes after about 30 minutes was driving me nuts. Yeah, so when you consider the whole thing was that they supposedly fixed a memory leak, which they'd been denying existed for how long, it's amazing how they actually made the memory leak worse, as well as making performance worse. It's like, if they just left it the fuck alone, everyone would have been better off. It's unbelievable. I don't know how you break something that badly. Like, that's just unreal. Like, I'm aware that this is the open beta branch of the game, but how does something like that get through QA at all? Like, that should never have hit the update server, ever. And what's more, it's been several weeks. I mean, it's been about a month now, actually, since that patch, and they still haven't fixed the core issues that it causes. Yeah, exactly. Pre-patch, I could play whichever server I wanted, and I might get little freezes here and there, but they were only a couple seconds long at most. It took me, 10 or 20 seconds maximum to load textures for my own aircraft and the ground around me. And I never had issues with it. The game didn't run brilliantly, but it ran playably, and now it doesn't. It doesn't matter if the server's got 50 people on it or 2. I still have problems, and the game still freezes constantly, and my frame rate's gone down too, which is just unbelievable. Like, I don't know if they did any testing for the patch, or if they did, how they tested it, but it's just been one thing after another. Like, the game has not improved in any way for me. I was really keen too, because when I looked at the patch notes for it, I was like, oh, they removed a memory leak. Wow, that should make the game run better for me. No, it didn't. It made it so much worse. I don't even know if they've acknowledged there's a problem yet, but I mean, from what I've seen of ED so far, probably not. In fact, they're probably busy trying to shut up anyone that's talking about it on the forums. We'll see if this is playable. It might not be. I'm hoping it is. But, because I really do want to do some flying, and I kind of want to do World War II stuff, but Cliffs of Dover doesn't want to cooperate, and DCS probably won't want to either. When they get punched in the wallet, they'll notice. They won't notice. Like, this is the problem. A lot of people with higher-end PCs aren't noticing the issue because it doesn't affect them. Or you have people that don't care anyway and will spend money regardless. Like, how many people just dropped pre-orders on the F-16 knowing full well that the Hornet hasn't even been finished yet, and ED will not finish the F-16 for at least 2 years? Like, even if they release the F-16 today, you won't have basic fucking avionics features in that aircraft until 2 years from now. Like, we know that because that's exactly what happened with the F-18. ED is trying to do too many things at once, and all the while the most important issue, the game itself, is going neglected. And people have been saying it for a long time. It's not a sustainable business model. It's not a good business model, but the criticism is either ignored or silenced. And this is the problem. Whenever people say, oh, well, they'll notice when no one buys it, or they'll notice when, when they get hit in the wallet, it's a nice thought, but it never actually happens, because for every one person that says, I'm not buying anything more until they fix the game, there's about another 2 or 3 people who either have very high-paying jobs or their parents' credit card who have no problem spending money on vaporware. None at all. I mean, look at what happened with Star Citizen. Unfortunately, we live in a world where that kind of thing doesn't really work anymore. And shitty business practices not only go unpunished, they actually get rewarded. Now, this could be interesting because I'm not good at taking off in this thing, even with the takeoff assistance on. It's so sensitive in DCS. And we're going to move the head position back because it's so awkwardly close to the canopy frame. Probably about, let's see, we'll recenter the track IR. Probably about there is good. Now we've got to see if I can remember how to start her up. Oh, I can't set my letter code and my serial number? That makes me a sad boy. Well, I hope the mission maker set them up correctly. Okay, so we'll get rid of the pilot's body because it's going to be in my way here. No, I want prop pitch back. I want throttle forward to trip the electric switch. Then we unscrew the gas primer, or the petrol primer. 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll give it 7 because I don't know what the weather's like outside. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Helps if you turn the fuel cock on, hey. Yep, there we go. We got fuel pressure. Look at the carby. It's on normal intake. We'll turn the fuel pump on in a bit once we get the engine started. Pitot heat on, rad flap on. I think that's about where I want the rudder trim. We'll trim nose down because we don't want the aircraft suddenly bunting upwards and stalling on takeoff. About just below horizontal for the trim. Now I can't remember which position we want the mixture in. I think we want the mixture back and then we kick it forwards as soon as the engine starts. That's off where it should be. Okay. I've also got to try and remember what the keys are for this. So we crack the throttle slightly. Put the brake on. Come on. No. No. I've done something wrong. Oh. Okay, there's... Yikes. What have I done wrong here? We'll put the pitch full forwards. Put the fuel pump on. Fuck it. Maybe that's why. Although I thought you were supposed to have the engine running before you put that on. Don't want to start. I know I'm missing something. Yeah, that's the booster coil. I need the carby on, maybe the filter for it. I did this just fine from memory the other day. I've forgotten how to do it. Very embarrassing. I don't think we got enough fuel. Oh! Imagine not remembering to turn the magneto switches on. I'm an idiot. No wonder she wouldn't start. Holy fuck. Come on. No. I think I've fucked it up now. Right. close. Give it a bit more throttle. Or just a bit over idle. About there, maybe. Let's respawn the aircraft. I've done something wrong now and it's not going to start. Oh, we do have letter codes. Okay, cool. Okay, let's try that again. Go zoom out, up a bit. Pilot's body out the way. That on. Get the electrics on. Yeah, we'll go full course. Brake. Fuel cock. Put both of those on. There we go. Reset my trim. Now comes the fun part, trying to taxi. You're going to hear a lot of squeaking from my brake lever here. And there's a freeze. Huge freeze. I'm probably going to be in the hangar by the... Yep, thanks DCS. Fuck's sake. now, unlike in Cliffs of Dover, I can't hang my head out of the cockpit with the canopy open, so I can't see where the fuck I'm going. Oh, no, 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 no. What are you doing? No. I mean, I could take off from the grass if it wasn't for all these trees, but the game keeps freezing, because every time I taxi near something, the game has to load the texture, and every time it loads the texture, it freezes. And there's another huge one. Yep, I'm gonna be in. Yep, back into the grass. There we go. This is probably gonna happen as I take off, and I'll die. I can almost guarantee it. Fucking broken game. It's like, yeah, I am running it off a hard drive, and I know that's suboptimal, but that's all I have, and it used to work just fine. If ED had left the fucking game alone, it would still work. Hey, Geriatric. Expect to see me raging a lot, because not only am I trying to taxi the Spitfire, I'm doing so while my game is freezing for 20 seconds at a time. I was trying to stream some Cliffs of Dover, but the game decided it didn't want OBS to hook it anymore, so he hopes to see me in the air. I'll be lucky if I get into the air at this rate. I really, really, really resent this fucking patch they put out last month. I really do. There's a really strong crosswind here too, by the looks of it, which is even better. Combine the difficulty of getting the Spitfire to go the direction you want it to on the ground with the fun of a crosswind on a very short runway. That's not my pedals, that's the pinky switch on my joystick, which is my brake lever. It is getting a very intense workout here, much more so than when I fly the MiG-21, which is the other time you hear it a lot. Oh, actually, no, that's not a crosswind, that's a fucking tailwind. I should have just stayed down the other end of the runway, but I saw Mustang take off from this one. Ugh. We're off to a great start today. Fucking brilliant. Is anyone else coming? I can't tell. Okay. Right. So, I've got my revs about where I want them. And the game froze. Oh no, 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 no. You're not doing this. That was a very messy takeoff, but we'll take it. Okay, now we're in the air. The challenge is to stay in the air. my gears up. Probably couldn't hear it over the wind. Now, imagine checking the briefing and knowing where the enemy air bases are. Because I haven't the faintest idea. I also have no idea how to switch the radio on in this thing, which is probably something that would be helpful to know. I don't know what that does. The round thing with the paddle switch coming out of it's the lights on the bottom of the aircraft. I know that. I think this thing on the left is my radio control panel. I think. So without that, we could have an interesting time trying to figure out where the enemy are. As I was saying on yesterday's stream, notice in the DCS Spitfire you cannot see shit back into the tail, whereas in the Cliffs of Dover Spitfire you can see the entire tail structure of the aircraft and the big structural post that the tail wheel is on. And a big freeze. Head southeast, we should find some targets, surely. Friendly target warnings on 4th channel of radio station. Oh, some lights came on. Of course, the cockpit textures are so low quality with my graphics on the settings they are that I can't actually read the labels. This is another problem with fucking textures on DCS. Unless you have the highest quality setting on, the MIP maps in the cockpit textures activate and it makes it impossible to read labels. I don't know why. I don't understand how the logic in that works, but that is what ED have done. So, on every other aircraft where I can find one, I haven't found one yet for the Spitfire, I'm running texture packs for the cockpit that turn off the MIP maps and just make it nice and crystal clear and sharp. Now imagine that inside a VR headset where the resolution's even lower. Yeah, that's exactly why I have no intention of getting VR until, I mean, first of all, until I can afford it, but also until the resolution improves on VR. And I have a PC that can run that. Okay, well the radio is being remarkably silent. I'm sure that's the radio. Because this is the lights under the aircraft. And that paddle switches to Morse code them. Oh yeah, like there's certainly aspects where VR is so much better. Like, I would like to be able to use it, especially for dogfighting in older aircraft, but I also really value being able to see small details, and I kind of want that resolution before I switch to it. But I think once I had that, as long as it doesn't make me motion sick or whatever, I would definitely make the switch. Another huge freeze. This is my life now, ever since that patch last month. That's why I haven't been streaming DCS, because it runs like absolute dog shit now. It gets very frustrating. Usually after less than an hour, I just don't want to play anymore. If Cliffs of Dover hadn't shat the bed, I would still be playing that instead, because it's more fun than this at the moment. Even flying against AI in that game is more fun than this, because at least it's playable. And at least the game isn't freezing constantly on me. It's just so frustrating. Like, a significant number of the times where I get killed flying against other players in DCS come down to my game freezing or my frame rate being low or me not being able to spot something. It's really frustrating. There's a lot of times that are just down to me being a bad pilot too, but you don't notice those so much as you do when it's the game holding you back, or I should say the game's performance. One of the other nice things about Cliffs of Dover is you don't have these bullshit baked-in reflections on the perspex to contend with. So spotting is so much better, even without factoring in the glitz off aircraft cockpits, and the fact that the specs are a bit more noticeable further out. A friend of mine actually did a trial flight. He was going to take up flying, and he found out that something with his inner ear, he just can't fly. He straight up can't do it. It was making him nauseous after only a few minutes in the air. He doesn't get it as much with airliners, but with light aircraft, just something about it, he can't do it, which is a real shame. Because he was really keen, and then, you know, to find out that it's just not possible for him, that must have really sucked. So all those sort of stutters in the stream you guys are going to be able to see, that's not me dropping frames, that is my game freezing. This is why I'm really pissed off at DCS and why I'm really pissed off at Eagle Dynamics right now. It's been a month, they've had 4 patches to fix this, and they haven't touched it. Looking alright. Come off the power a bit actually, I don't need to cruise at that high of a boost setting.
Another thing is, as I said yesterday, the trim in Cliffs of Dover is much less finicky. It has, I don't know how to call it, I guess higher DPI. So in this, it just like the briefest twitch of the trim hat will make the aircraft very noticeably bunt up or down. Whereas in Cliffs of Dover, I can actually hold it and it will have less effect. It makes it so much easier to trim the aircraft. I really wish DCS was more like that. You know, in some aircraft, maybe that's how they are with the digital trimmers on the jets, but on this, it's a hand wheel. You should have much better sensitivity in it without having to actually look down and do it by hand with the mouse, which is a good way to get killed. You know, you're not going to have to look in real life, it's just muscle memory. Absolutely no idea where I should be going. Haven't seen anyone yet, aside from that guy that nearly crashed into me on the parking area, and the Mustang that took off. Huge freeze. So many specs on my monitor, I can't tell what's a plane and what's not. Okay, I think I've gone well and truly past their airfield. Oh, I was probably flying in the wrong direction. I'm a genius. I'm an absolute genius. I'm flying the wrong direction. Oh well, it's given me some time to get altitude at least. Handy visual reference: to hold the Spitfire level at this altitude, you put the horizon in line with the third bolt up on the armored windscreen.
Hey, what are you doing?
What indeed? I don't know. Please send help. Temps are looking good. So, to continue on my rant about ED's business practices earlier and the fact that all the people pre-ordering the F-16 are going to be sorely disappointed when it takes at least 2 or 3 years to have any useful features at all, I just like to point out the Spitfire's been out for how many years now? Like 3 years, I think? Maybe longer? Nothing that is painted in luminous paint in real life is in the Spitfire. Nothing in here is illuminated. All you have is the cockpit floodlights, which are really shitty. All of these dials, every single goddamn one of them, should have luminous paint on it.
Oh, shit, I'm alone. This could be interesting. Me against, what, 3 109s? Yeah, 3 109s. Oh, there we go, we've got a Mustang now. Yikes. Time to be a hero, more like time to be a flaming asteroid pointed right at the ground. I mean, okay, so probably not Schneider because I know he's a good pilot, but maybe the other 109s, maybe I could take them one-on-one, but I certainly can't take 2 at once, or 3 at once, God forbid. It depends how easily I can bait them into trying to turn with me. If I can do that, then it's basically an I win button. But I don't know if they're going to be dumb enough to fall for it. And again, my game is freezing constantly, so even if I'm lined up perfectly for a shot, there's a chance the game will lock up and they'll get away from me. Which has happened numerous times the last few times I tried to play. It saved Tawny's skin a couple times, it saved Jeff's skin a couple times. It's got me killed on several occasions. So for all those DCS players out there, or prospective DCS players that might be watching, if you haven't pre-ordered the F-16, please don't. Please don't. Don't reward this. It is a brilliant game, it is a lot of fun, there is nothing else like it as far as modern aircraft go. But until it actually works decently, like, don't reward ED working on like 3 modules at once after breaking the core game engine and then not fixing it. You know, those of us that can't afford U-Butte gaming computers with huge SSDs to whack DCS on and top-of-the-line video cards and all that, this is what it's actually like. If you don't have a several $1,000 setup, this is what you're going to be experiencing. Really, really bad performance, because every time ED try and optimize the game, they do it for the top end of town, and even then they fuck it up. So, if you're running the game off a hard drive at the moment, don't bother. It used to be fine. There used to be no issues with running it off a hard drive until a month ago. Yeah, I mean, if I was running off an SSD, I probably would not be getting freezing, but I do not have an SSD large enough to put DCS on, and I can't afford one. I know of other people who have better computers than me that have had performance issues as well. I know of people that have worse computers than me that have had no problems whatsoever. It seems really inconsistent, but all I know is until the patch a month ago where they said they fixed a memory leak, I had no issues. None. And since then the game has been very close to unplayable. All my load times went up enormously. You know, the game never used to freeze when it loaded textures, and now it does. It really never used to freeze in general for more than half a second at a time, and now it does for, you know, 10-20 seconds at some points. It's just been a net negative for me, to the point where I was considering rolling back to stable, but then I realised by the time I get back on stable, A, no one plays it, and B, ED would probably roll out the patch that caused the issues for stable, and I'd be screwed anyway. I am installing IL-2 Battle of Stalingrad in the background, so it's taking a long time, but once that is done, that's probably going to be what I'm streaming until the foreseeable future, because Cliffs of Dover is just too much of a pain to hook with OBS, as much as I like to play it, and this is just frustrating at the moment. Really frustrating. There goes another freeze.
And another one. Wow, whatever is off that wing, the game does not like. Where to find anyone. Mind you, they're probably out looking for me since I was flying the wrong direction for a good 20 minutes there. I will say the exterior model for the DCS Spitfire is absolutely gorgeous, but the cockpit does leave quite a bit to be desired. The lighting is kind of shit. Like, the footwell is as brightly illuminated as any other part of the cockpit, which is just bizarre. And you can't see into the tail structure at all. It's just blacked out. Like, how bad does that look? That's ridiculous. And these baked-on reflections need to go away on every aircraft. They're just so annoying. Okay, it's probably going to be the part where I get bounced. Bottom tank's still full. That's one of their airfields there. And there goes another freeze. I get the impression they're probably all inland. Only tried to fly the P-51 a couple times, never made off the runway. Yeah, it's really difficult to get the tail draggers off the ground in DCS. I have had a lot of trouble with the Spitfire. Part of that's probably due to my rudder pedals. They're quite broken at the moment, and also very, like the sensor seems like it's dirty or something because they jitter back and forth, the input. So I have a bit of trouble there, but just getting used to the power settings. I've always been quite slow on the throttle because I'm used to flying warbirds in, World War II sims. I've always done it. But in DCS, you need to be even more careful about that. Like, for instance, when I took this off for this flight, there goes another fucking freeze. I very slowly trickled the power on. I'd trickle on a bit of power, I'd get the nose straight down the runway, put a bit more on, get the nose straight, and just do that until she finally came off the runway. You also... like, they'll come off the ground with a lot less power than you think you need. Which was the case on this takeoff. I was not expecting the plane to come off the ground so soon. I don't see any specs back there. One of the other things that I don't like about the cockpit in this is the dimmer plate is almost totally opaque. Like, how bad is this? You can't see shit through it. I don't understand why they made the dimmer plate so dark, but a whole bunch of other aircraft have the same issue. The Su-27s is very dark. The MiG-29s is basically too transparent. It has almost no effect. It's very hit or miss in DCS. They either overdo it or underdo it. There's no in between. And more for it, don't you dare, Max. I swear to God.
More freezes. They're getting almost constant now. I'm probably overflying ground units or something. And that's just from loading textures. That's really the only change that they made. I don't know exactly what it was, but it's something to do with how texture loading and texture caching is handled. Because the effect it has had is textures take a very long time to load, and as it's happening, it freezes the game. Like I said, they used to load quickly with no freezing. Even if a texture was loading right next to me, say the Tomcat, which has always taken the longest, I would just see a black texture on the Tomcat until it loaded. There'd be no performance hit. And now there's a huge performance hit. So whatever they've done there is just... I really don't know why they did it. It doesn't seem to have improved performance for anybody. And for those of us unfortunate enough to be stuck on hard drives, it has made it almost universally very, very much worse. And the other downside of these freezes is that because it's stuttering, it makes it harder for me to actually spot things, because my track IR jumps. I think I see some ground units down there, tanks maybe. Is that a spec? No, just dust. I don't think I'm going to see any enemy aircraft this flight. Partly because the server's pretty quiet at the moment, but also because just... I can't see anything, really. I'm either going to get bounced or I'm going to end up RTB, low on fuel, without spotting anything. I don't even know whose ground units those are. Oh, they're not ground units, they're oil pumps. They're pump jacks. 10,000 IQ. So probably what I should have done while I was starting up on the ground is I should have actually memorized where the different ground targets are, because that's where the action's going to be, over the top of those. But I'm not a smart man, and so I briefly glanced at the briefing and then flew in the wrong direction for 20 minutes. Huge freeze. There we go. Starting to run out of fuel on the bottom tank now. I'm gonna head back towards my own airfield. Okay. German man is telling me there's enemy aircraft.
Feindliche Flugzeuge über unsere Truppen in Sektor 47 erkannt.
In Sector 74.
Feindliche Flugzeuge über unsere Truppen in Sektor 47 erkannt. Erkannt. Achtung! Feindliche Flugzeuge über unsere Truppen in
Big
Sektor
think.
47 erkannt.
Shift F10 for labels? Yeah, I guess. I feel kind of dirty doing it, but okay. Suppose I'm not going to see them any other way. Probably not going to see them that way either, to be fair. Probably should have also just landed at Crimson. It's closer, I think. Mission restart in 3 minutes. Oh, joy. At least then I have a chance to not fly the wrong way. Well, we got the Spitfire off the ground without breaking anything, so that's a start. And I know I can land it, just controlling it on the rollout can be difficult. Sometimes it tries to ground loop as you slow down. And by sometimes, I mean frequently. Now, is that Novorossiysk? Yes, it is. That's their airfield, so mine is to the left. I'm not going to get there before the restart, though. Landing this would be a lot easier if you could stick your head out the cockpit. Again, like in Cliffs of Dover. Like, honestly, Cliffs of Dover is a pretty old game at this point, and it had a troubled release, but in a lot of ways, it still has a huge advantage over DCS World War II. Just because, I don't know, a lot of the World War II stuff feels like they've made kind of a half attempt at it, to be fair. Like, the aircraft look beautiful, well, maybe not the cockpit, and they fly nicely, but the damage models aren't there. You know, there's a lot of things like not being able to see down the tail, the lighting is not very good, the instrument panel on this doesn't have any of the luminous paint that it should. I don't know, it just shits me. It's all real small things, but they combine up to make a pretty lackluster experience compared to IL-2. Really the only thing that they have going for them over IL-2 is that this is a full fidelity sim. I don't know about the new IL-2, I don't believe it's got clickable cockpits, and Cliffs of Dover is kind of semi-fidelity, I guess you could say, in that the cockpit's clickable, but only certain things. Others need to be bound to a key or just don't work. Hang on, the wind was coming the other way, wasn't it? And the game froze.
Probably the server restart. Yeah, that was a server restart. Oh wow, it's automatically reconnecting by the looks of it. It's a Christmas miracle. I don't think I've ever seen DCS do that before. Normally it just goes back to the server browser or it crashes. The crashing is my favorite one. Yeah, we auto reconnected. Oh boy. Oh boy. I'll take this one. Okay, pull you back. And up. Now, interestingly, I can't confirm this, but I have a sneaking suspicion that Cliffs of Dover does actually, if not model refraction through the armoured glass, then it at least jacks up the height of the gun sight, like very, very slightly, imperceptibly, but puts it so that you have a better view over the nose. Because I found deflection shooting in Cliffs of Dover so much easier. Now, with that said, it's a Mark 1, so the armoured glass is on the outside, not the inside, so it's a bit higher up. But yeah, like, the problem with this setup is that you would have refraction through this in real life, where it comes in, hits it, bends down, and then, you see over the nose better, basically. Just picked up my first Russian plane, MiG-29, best tree fitty I ever spent. Get the MiG-21, my dude. Go full fidelity. The 29's nice, but man, the MiG-21 is a real joy to fly. It's difficult, but it's a joy. Okay. Now I'm going to remember to do everything again. Electrics on. We'll go ahead and flip these two right now. We'll set up our trim. The response on this to the mouse is so slow. Trim nose down slightly. Actually, I'll go one tick nose down, which I think is like 5 degrees nose down. Okay. Fuel cock on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Low fuel pressure lights out. Excuse me. Brake on. Okay, that's sorted. We'll go ahead and put this on, I guess. Pop covers on there. Okay, crack the throttle slightly, prop to fully course. And the game freezes again. There we go. Got the magnetos again. I don't know why I keep doing that. Alright. So we'll take off from this end if the wind is the same direction it was before. Can we see the windsock from here? Not really. No, there's trees in the way. I'm just going to assume the wind is the same. Here comes the fun part. the game froze. Oh god. No, 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 no. Not into the truck, please. Let's see if we can make this 2 of 2 successful takeoffs for today in the Spitfire and DCS. Probably not, but an attempt will be made. Okay. And the game's frozen again. Yep, there we go. Okay, brake on. I want this set probably about there for pitch. Bit of power on. Stick fully back to try and keep some down pressure on the tail wheel and stop it from spinning all over the place. Rudder and brake to account for that yaw. More rudder. Just applying power in little trickled on stages here. And the game freezes. Oh my fucking god. Okay. I'll let the nose drop. Power on. And she threatened to stall, but we made it. Barely. I'd be feeling a lot better if DCS wasn't trying to kill me, though. I was going to stream Cliffs of Dover, but it was misbehaving, so here we are, stuck in ED's dumpster fire. Well, there's a freeze. Yep, just freeze while I'm pointed at the ground. That's great. Oh my god. Okay, I want to... Jesus Christ! Come off the revs, off the power. Need more back trim. Yeah, DCS ran fine until a month ago, and ever since it's just been atrocious. It's probably fine for most people because SSDs, but for me running off a hard drive, it is a nightmare. It went from being perfect, well, as perfect as it was going to get for me, to nearly unplayable, which is why I haven't been streaming it very much lately. It's just so frustrating. So frustrating. I want to play it, but every time I do, this happens and I get pissed off and I quit within an hour usually. But at the moment, I'm waiting for IL-2 Battle of Stalingrad to install. So I don't really have much choice. It's this or spend an hour restarting the stream until OBS hooks Cliffs of Dover again. Both equally frustrating. Put some power back on and start climbing. No, it's not that I'm installing a game. Like, in fact, it's probably freezing less than it usually does now. I can tell you exactly what it is. They changed the way that texture loading is handled, and so now, instead of taking, 5, 10, maybe 20 seconds for the Tomcat to load textures when I come in the game, it takes upwards of 5 minutes for certain aircraft. Also, instead of, having perfectly good performance while it loads textures and just not being able to see them, it now freezes the game while they're loading. So anytime I go near an F-14 and switches LODs on the textures, my game freezes. Anytime I load my own aircraft up, game freezes. Anytime I fly over a different area of the map, game freezes. Anytime the planets align incorrectly, game freezes. It's just really, really frustrating. It's been like this for a month. ED have not done anything to fix it. I haven't checked the forums because I know what they're like. I'm going to guess ED are probably denying that there's a problem, considering the memory leak that they supposedly fixed to cause this. They made it worse, by the way. they'd been denying the existence of, up until they said randomly, oh, we fixed the memory leak, by the way, you know, the one we said didn't exist. So yeah, as you can imagine, they are on my shit list at the moment. I love the game, I want to play it, but holy fuck, it does not want to be played right now. Yeah, exactly. And this is why I will not be pre-ordering the F-16 or ordering any other modules made by ED. I might consider third-party ones, but... well, at the moment I can't afford them anyway, but... people really need to stop encouraging their shitty business practices. They got the F-16 they're working on. This still isn't finished. Look at this. No illumination on my instrument panel. Not finished. Random, just black shit in the tail so you can't see the structure. Not finished. Shitty texture resolution, because for some reason the mip maps trigger if your head is more than 6 inches from the instrument panel. Not fixed. Hornet's still not finished. The damage model is still, like... DCS's damage modeling is worse than IL-246, and that game is over 10 years old at this point. Like, I will freely say that. IL-2 1946 has a better damage model than this game. Cliffs of Dover certainly has a better damage model than this game, as I was demonstrating over the past 2 days. Okay, that's a Napa up there, so I think I just... am I going the wrong direction again? Or did I just overfly their airfield without realizing it? I think I might have. Oh, no, okay, I see. The front line's changed, so their only airfield now is the Napa, I guess. Yeah, they do still have a long way to go, and yet they're putting out the F-16 for pre-order when those of us that know what happened with the F-18 know that that will not have even the most basic functionality for a good 2 years. Hornet still doesn't have proper track loss cam. And people are diving all over the Viper like, my dudes, you're going to be sorely disappointed when that comes out. Oh, okay, no one else is in here. Well then. We'll go back and land, and then I'll find something else to do. I might play naval action or something. I don't know, I want to fly in DCS, but it's just such a pain right now. And I feel kind of like I probably shouldn't even bother streaming it, because surely it can't be that entertaining to watch me just be pissed off for like an hour. But most of you guys come here to see DCS, I know that. And DCS is what I like to do on stream, so I don't know what else to do, to be honest. Oh, I know you'll come here to watch me get pissed off, Max. You're weird. Yeah, but he's usually raging in an informative way. Like, through his rage, you'll learn shit about the avionics of different aircraft you never thought you would need to know. When I rage at the game, it's just because I'm pissed off that it's not running well. In fact, the educational quality of my streams go down the more annoyed I am. When I'm in a good mood, that's when I come out with the random historical facts. Well, if nothing else, I'm going to get some landing practice here. There is another guy in here, he just hasn't picked an aircraft slot yet. I'm also way past my cruise settings.
Or about 6 pounds of boost. There we go. Which from memory will leave us cruising at about 260 if I'm flying straight and level, which I probably won't be. Because trimming this thing is a nightmare, because again, DCS is very shoddy with its trim inputs. It's not as bad in this actually, like just the briefest flick of the... Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm overstating it. It's better in this than it is in the jets, that's for sure. But the trim does seem that much more finicky in DCS than it is in Cliffs of Dover. Forcing my GPU software to handle MSAA and AA fixed order stutters for me, but if you're still running on a 5400 RPM drive, unfortunately there isn't much you can do. Yeah, I know. Like, I knew I was going to have performance issues because I was running on a hard drive. I've always known that, but before it was playable, and now it's not, and it's down to that one patch, and that's why I'm angry. Because basically overnight my ability to play DCS, let alone stream it, just got a fat dump taken on it by ED, so that they could allegedly fix a memory leak, which they had denied existed, and they didn't even fix it, they made it worse. Like, that is the frustrating part. And unfortunately, I'm not in a situation where I can just go out and shell out a bunch of money for a new SSD. Like, I'm keeping an eye out kind of now and then for cheap ones, but I want one that's not going to fail on me, that's big enough to fit, you know, a new operating system, so I can finally get off Windows 7 before the end of life comes. And then DCS on it, as well as probably Arma 3 and 1 or 2 other games, which are very hard drive intensive, or very, like, data loading intensive. Get those on there, get Windows 10 on there, and then, hey presto, my PC should be good for the next couple of years. Fingers crossed, knock on wood. 500 GB SSD for $70 from Memory Express. See, I'm trying to... This is the thing, I'm trying to anticipate how much I'm actually going to need for Windows 10, because I thought that 100... Well, at first I thought 80 would be enough just for my operating system, and then I realized that other programs were saving onto it, you know, in the app data folder and then my documents and so on. I had moved my documents and my save games folder to my hard drive that has DCS on it, just so I can free up some space on my SSD, so Windows doesn't shit the bed. But, yeah, I thought 80 would work, and that worked for about 2 years, and then I ran out of space. Then I went to 120, and that lasted less than 6 months before I ran out of space, and that's what I'm on now. I've got maybe 5 to 10 gig of free space on that SSD because I removed all my save games and everything. Like, the entirety of save games, the entirety of my documents onto another drive. So I need something that can handle Windows, anything that saves to the C drive, which is, I'm going to guess, like, probably about 100 gig, just for a safety margin. And then, on top of that, DCS and Arma 3, and that's probably at least another 300 to 400 gig, right? Well, I think it's 150 for DCS, and then probably about 200, yeah, so like 350, 400 minimum for the two of them. Do you know about the website Static Ice? No, I don't. Oh, really, DCS? Really? Really? There we go. Look at how great this is. Isn't this brilliant? This is just perfect. It does nothing. All it does is make things harder to see. It doesn't blank out the sun glare at all. Again, unfinished. This module's been out for years and it's unfinished.
South Wales. Power line over the fence at about 80 miles an hour. Wow, that was actually a really good landing. I didn't expect that. Now, if we can just stop it from ground looping as we slow down, that'll really make me happy. Just gentle applications of the brakes. It's the Christmas miracle. I've landed the Spitfire without ground looping. You can post links, the bot won't stop you. I forgot to close the safety covers on the engine starter and the booster coil. Oopsie daisies. Cheers, I'll check that out later. Oh, hello, what's this?
Hello, Rabbit Leader.
Hey, Shifty! Thanks for the host. Taxi off onto the grass because we're in a warbird, we can do that. And try not to ground loop as the game freezes yet again. I feel like I am starting to get the hang of the ground handling, especially the takeoffs. Now I am still using 50% takeoff assist just because my pedals are really not great at the moment. But we're getting there. I'm going to try and slowly wean myself off that as soon as possible. It's actually harder now to taxi than take off. I think I've got the takeoff down, you just got to be really slow with the application of power. I really would like to go and do some more Cliffs of Dover, but I'd have to restart the stream to do it. So I don't think I'm going to do that today. I might do it next time I stream though. We'll just park here. Not like anyone needs this taxiway anyway, right? Right, there we go. Oh wow, I can see my own face. That's not disturbing at all. Can't seem to walk off of the aircraft though. Well, IL-2 is like 2/3 done, so I still can't launch that. Might just mess around with some single player, like quick action stuff, just for a bit. It might not be the most exciting viewing, but I'm just trying to kill time basically until that works, because like I said, I don't want to restart the stream to get Cliffs of Dover to hook. I really wish I could stream more Cliffs of Dover. It's a really good, underappreciated sim. At least if you ignore the fact the AI are really stupid. But Not actually, there's a disclaimer to that. Near the ground, the AI is stupid. In the air, the AI are far better than DCS because they actually maneuver evasively instead of just going into constant vertical loops. So let's see, what do we got? Instant action. I might do the dogfight one for the Tomcat again, just because I need to practice in this thing quite badly. So yeah, basically the plan is until either DCS unfucks itself or I can get myself an SSD and get that all sorted, most of my flying streams are going to probably be IL-2. But I will say as well, if you want to see why I'm getting so frustrated, if you go back and watch any of the VODs from more than a month ago, I think it was actually the 6th or 7th of June that the patch in question dropped. Any of the VODs before that, you'll be able to see how long it took me to load textures and that the game would continue like not freezing when it was doing it. And now, like if you compare it to when I've tried to join a server now, you can really notice the difference. It doesn't sound like much, but when you see it, it makes sense. I'm not 100% certain what exactly they did. I just know that it's something to do with texture loading. That's it. Now, having said that the AI in DCS are a bit stupid, they're not very good to practice against because they will just do something very predictable. They'll go into vertical loops endlessly once you're on their tail. But the point of this in the Tomcat is that I actually need to learn to handle the aircraft in tight turns and things like that. Whereas with the MiG-21, I already know how to do it. So doing the dogfight practice for the MiG-21 is essentially pointless for me other than getting the hang of judging the deflection with the fixed reticle. Same thing with the Spitfire. It doesn't really teach me anything useful that I don't already know. But with the Tomcat, I've got to learn to handle this thing. Most of my Tomcat flying has been missile delivery. I've been basically just a courier for Phoenixes on Georgia War or somewhere like that. So I haven't really had to go in the real stick and rudder realm of flying the F-14. And it's taking an awful long time to load into the mission here. So for those who have recently arrived and hear me talking about Cliffs of Dover and comparing it to DCS for the World War II modules, I have streamed it. I started this stream in it, but it didn't go so well. I may have been shot up by some Bolt and Paul Defiance in a very embarrassing fashion. But yesterday's stream, yesterday's / not this morning's, yesterday's. I have no sense of time. It was a pretty much almost purely Cliffs of Dover stream. So if you want to see what I mean, you can go check out the VOD for that. And I was flying mostly the Spitfire in it, so you can make pretty much direct comparisons. It is a Spitfire Mark 1 as opposed to a Mark 9, but really there's not a huge difference other than the engine, basically, and the weapons. So we'll try this.
Surprisingly, the textures loaded in kind of quick there, but...
Target, 8 miles.
Okay,
slow let's
down
do
here
this.
towards quarter speed. I don't want to be merging too quickly.
$12 spike, 11 o'clock. $5 high. $12 high. $12. 3 o'clock low. $1 low.
Big stutter right there.
9 o'clock high. $11. 11 o'clock low.
Like I said, they go into vertical
He's all
loops
yours.
once you
We're on
find
a
them.
6. $12.
Bit of wing rock, she didn't like that very much.
On a 6. Go get him.
I'm working on it, Jester. Jesus. Give me a chance here. There we go.
The bandit is going down.
Kind of worried I'd ripped the wings there at one point, but looks like we didn't pull more than about 8.5 G, so that's good. We're getting there. But you can probably see on the stream how much the game's stuttering and how badly it's running. This is only since that patch last month. Before that I had no issues like this. It used to run relatively smoothly. It would have like a kind of lowish frame rate, but smooth. And now, look at this, it's just constantly locking up. So I'm just going to do a landing here. At least the download speed is picked up on IL2. I thought I had it installed, but it turns out I actually didn't, so... I had the launcher installed, I didn't have the game installed. And there's a massive freeze. There we go. Some of these longer ones might be coming from the fact the installer's running, but like this kind of performance is pretty typical for what I've had since last month. Go ahead and go into landing mode. Take the TCS back off because I don't need it anymore. I always get the wrong switch for that. Hey dude.
I was hoping to do some dogfighting with you, but the server emptied out and my game is running like crap, so might have to be another time. Oh, it's not just problems on that server, it's DCS in general. So I think that is going to have to wait until I have an SSD or the game performance improves.
We've been hit!
Oops.
10.
Lost too much height. Should have been coming in faster and higher. Oh well, we'll try that again. We'll refly that mission, I guess. That is the first time I've fucked up a landing in the Tomcat for a very long time. Problem is as well, the more frustrated I get from the game running badly, the worse I fly, and it turns into this feedback loop.
It's game time. Bandit, flanker. 12 o'clock, 4 miles. $12 o'clock. $12 o'clock. Spike, 12 o'clock. 6 o'clock. $1 o'clock high. $12 o'clock high. $12 o'clock high.
Can I pick him up, please, on radar? There we go.
12 o'clock low. $2 o'clock low. Go ahead, man. $12 o'clock low.
Too early. And now it's lost lock. There we go.
On a 6, you got this. Shoot him, shoot him. Come on, show me some of that pilot shit. Right in front of us. The bandit is going down.
Let's try that landing again, and hopefully not fly into the fire station this time.
Coming in way too high. I'll go around. I guess the hook bypass was already on and I just turned it off. Oopsie daisies. It's probably not what an approach is supposed to look like, but it's close enough. Oh, please, nose down.
400. 300.
Oh, I'm going too fast. I'm not going to make
200
it.
feet. 100.
I don't know why I can't land this thing tonight. I normally have no trouble at all. But we'll go a bit further out. Some speed.
300. 200 feet.
There we go. That's more like it. You know what? I might, after I park this up, I'll just park on the taxiway. I might actually just quickly restart the stream so I can do clips of Dover, at least for 1 or 2 flights. Because DCS is really pissing me off tonight. Not going to bother with a proper shutdown. But yeah, there we go. At least I got it back on the ground that time, after several attempts. And there goes a massive freeze. Okay. So, I've got to do this in a specific order. Cliffs to Dover runs in about 2 or 3 different windows, and OBS always hooks the wrong one, so I have to close OBS, which means the stream's going to drop. Then I've got to launch IL2. I've got to get into a flight, so I have to be in the aircraft. Then very quickly tab out, start OBS, get OBS running, and tab back in before it actually launches. It's really annoying, really, really annoying, but it's the only way to get it to work, sadly. So, I'll try not to, I'll try and just do it as quickly as I can so the stream's not down for too long. So I'll be right back, guys.